do more great stuff too. So I want to bring up our first role model of the night. Well, I never called it that. First role model of the night. I sort of like that. Mike Brennan. First role model of the night. If you look at the screen, she just wrote a book called The Broke and Beautiful Life. I consider her the new Susie Orman for the millennial generation, and Generation Y. She has been on every single show. I couldn't even fit them all on the screen, from Dr. Oz, CNBC, Fox News. I don't even know what some of those other photos were. But she's taken the world by storm out of nowhere, and I love her story. And I'd like to bring her up. And ladies and gentlemen, Stefanie O'Connell.
The summer before 5th grade, on the 5-hour drive up to the lake where our family would take a vacation each year, my mom took out whatever 90s music mixtape was in the stereo and replaced it with something I'd never heard before. Turned out to be the original Broadway cast album of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor. Well, by the time we reached our destination and played through that final Joseph megamix, I was enthralled. So much so that by the end of the week, I knew every lyric of the entire show. And by the time I turned to class for my crowning year of elementary school, I was a total theater geek. And as luck would have it, when the 5th grade musical was announced a few months later, we would be putting on none other than Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Well, I immediately started brushing up on my rendition of Jacob and Sons. And a few weeks later, I managed to secure the role of the narrator. Number 3, to be exact. Because, with the familiar overabundance of girls eager to play roles in shows built for boys, the role was divided into 5 parts. Mine featuring Joseph's unlucky streak where his brothers sell him into slavery. And though that may sound a little bit morbid, I had the time of my life. So much so that when the curtain came down on the one-night-only performance, I burst into tears. And when my mom asked why, I'm told, I said, "Because this was the best night of my life and nothing will ever be as good." Well, thankfully I was wrong. And while the awkwardness of my middle school and preteen years made high school a really unpleasant period, I continued to find these beautiful moments of refuge on stage, performing. So when it came time to figure out what I wanted to do and what I was going to study in the real world, well, I was going to be in theater. But I got a double major in psychology as a backup plan. Well, that was 10 years ago. And I can tell you now, well, actually a little over, but I can tell you now I've never used my psychology degree. And I have used my theater degree, quite a bit actually. And somehow I've still managed to end up here, almost 30, alive, living pretty well in New York City, and absolutely loving what I do. But it did take me a while to kind of figure it all out. In fact, I'd say that the pieces only fell into place about a year or so ago, when I finally discovered how my love of creating and performing fit together with my need for freedom and flexibility, enabled through financial stability. Now, for those of you who aren't in the arts, those two needs are often at odds in the arts, this financial security and creative fulfillment. I remember the first day I got my first big union contract performing in New York City and actually calculating whether or not I could afford to take it. $527 a week before agent fees, union dues, and taxes. I made more money at my restaurant survival job. Well, but my restaurant survival job made me want to jump off a cliff, so this was a recurring problem. And the more I pursued what I love, the more I felt this financial strain that was turning my love of creating into stress and resentment. And even as I became more successful, I felt I had to keep giving up more and more to continue this pursuit. So much so that everything else in my life became secondary. My friendships, my relationships, my personal dreams and goals that, God forbid, weren't related to theater. And for a while, I had accepted that that was the trade-off. If you're a true artist, if you're a true creator, well then everything else is secondary, and you should sacrifice everything. And I'd argue that this kind of black and white, all or nothing mentality is true across industries. And I'm sure those articles have come across your Facebook feed. I quit my 6-figure job to go broke traveling the world. And we like it, and we share it, and we think, oh, how great it is, and how brave it is that somebody was willing to prioritize their life around the thing that they value most at the expense of everything else. Well, I call bullshit. I don't want to give up everything. And I don't think it's brave to neglect your relationships or your friendships. And the fact is that if I continue to negotiate the things I needed as a human being, proper and fair payment being chief among them, then I would lose the freedom to continue pursuing what I loved altogether. I think we kind of live in this black and white world of either or. Either I can be professionally successful or I can be personally successful. Either I can be creative and fulfilled or I can be stable and secure. But I do not want to make that choice. I want to travel the world without going broke. I want to make 6 figures and be fulfilled. I want to create and perform while living on my own terms because I have enough money to do it. But in order to make that happen, I had to break free of this very limiting idea of either or. So I decided to implement a rule that I learned back in Improv 101 called yes and. Now, in case any of you haven't taken an improv class, the rule of yes and essentially challenges you to accept whatever circumstances your partner has presented in the scene as truths, and then add on as you move forward with the scene. So you can't say like no and then just deny whatever reality they've created, and you can't say yeah and add nothing else to the scene. You have to take the circumstances that have been presented to you and make them work for you as you move forward with the scene. So I thought, well, what if I take this yes and philosophy and start applying it to my life and my career? And what if I stop trying to choose between either or and crossing my fingers for some future breakthrough that will someday give me all the things that I want, and start creating my own yes and reality for myself today? Well, that was a pretty daunting task, because in my mind, having it all, both fulfillment and stability, could only be achieved a few ways. I thought that it was a Broadway show, or being the next, progressive girl, or booking a regular spot on a television series. And in my mind, while I was doing everything I could to make that happen, I was going to the auditions, I was taking the classes, I was cultivating the relationships and doing the work. And the rest was in the hands of the directors and the producers and the casting directors. And in the meantime, here I am at the intersection of either or, performing and losing money, or paying the bills and hating my life. But I had committed to stop my either-ors and replace them with yes-ands. And when I did that, it forced me to take responsibility for creating my own yes-and reality in its entirety. And to do that, I had to move beyond the narrow scope of implementing my creativity on a script or on a stage. Because what I was doing wasn't working, it wasn't enough, it kept leaving me choosing between either or. So I had to stop thinking about my creativity and my passion for performing as a means to an end for myself, and start using it to serve others. Because people don't pay you to be passionate. They pay you because you fulfill a need. They pay you because you offer a solution. They pay you because you add value. So if I was going to have it all, if I was going to be fulfilled and financially free, then I had to move beyond implementing my creativity to sell someone else's story and start using my creativity to meet someone else's need. And this is what I came up with.
If you're walking around with your bank accounts low, keep your skills in tow and hold on. Remind yourself what it is you can do, then charge for it too and hold on. Sublet your space, give investing a taste, take a tutoring case, just hold on. Sitting, of course, for babies and more, dogs and houses galore, just hold on. With the stuff you don't need, you can sell for a fee. With the money you'll see, you'll hold on. Coaching a sport, assisting and more, there's so many ways to hold on. Knowing your value to keep holding on. So many ways you can keep holding on. Write a book, become a personal trainer, start your own business, check out network marketing, use your car for ads, mystery shop, drive an Uber, join a focus group, build websites, clean houses, be a virtual assistant, be a personal assistant, become a tour guide, set up an Etsy shop, be a movie extra. With so many ways you can bump up your pay, there's no way you shouldn't hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
So this is just a tiny, lighthearted glimpse into what I now do. But it really illustrates this critical intersection between created in service of fulfillment for myself while offering valuable solutions for others. In this case, answering the question, well, what are some ways I can make extra money? Now, a music video listing ways to do that may seem trivial, but it's just one of the ways that I connect with new audiences and help them improve their financial lives. I wrote a book, I have a blog, I speak at events, and I answer questions from, how do I budget with inconsistent income to how do I start saving for retirement and how do I begin investing? And for my audience, it's a way to give them ideas and action steps that they can use to improve their money world. And it's a break from the boring financial jargon that they're used to. And for me, it's an opportunity to kind of create new ways of communicating with people about their money and offer creative solutions to the big question, how do I make enough money to live life on my terms? And the major bonus to all of this is that there's a huge demand, which means I actually get paid well to do this. And so I can finally have that elusive freedom and flexibility that I've always wanted. I got my yes and it's so much better and way bigger than anything my crying fifth grade self could have imagined. So don't limit yourself to the ways in which you implement your creativity. Don't limit yourself to implementing it in service of your own pursuits and your own passions. Use your creativity to come up with innovative solutions for others that are valuable and in demand. Experiment with your creativity in new industries and across various platforms. Explore the endless ways that your passion can manifest. Because passion doesn't dictate form. And it doesn't have to define your paycheck or your opportunities either. Thank you.
Stefanie O'Connell. And her that symbol is up there.
Follow me on social media, please.
So pull everything you do, get around Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. As you're talking, I was thinking about something. In the Legacy Show 1, we had Michelle Hurst from Orange is the New Black who plays Miss Claudette. And at the end of her story, somebody asked her, what did she have to sacrifice to get that kind of life? And she just, she pulled out like she was waiting for that question. And she said, if it's sacrifice, it's not the right job.
Interesting, yeah.
So, as you're encountering young minds who are looking, how do my creative life, whatever that version of creativity is, and they say to you, do you ever hear that they need to sacrifice to make it happen, or is that something you're hearing?
Well, I think there's this idea that you sacrifice for the sake of this one way in which that can happen. Like, I think in my mind, and I know for a lot of my peers, it was like, it was only a Broadway show that was going to give you everything, right? And like, you have to sacrifice everything to do that, otherwise you're not a real artist. And that's where I'm like, well, that's bullshit, you know? And I think it's bullshit in a lot of ways. One, in that, like, in what world are you only supposed to build your life around one passion? That's crazy. And second of all, like, I think the big lie is that it can only look like one thing. You know, being creative doesn't manifest only in a Broadway show. And like, I've been in shows at Madison Square Garden, and I'm just like, you know, what I do now is so much bigger. You know, and I think we discount it because I think we think we're cheating on that first dream. I don't think so. I think it enables us to have a richer experience. That if anything, when I walk into an audition room, I'm now richer by that experience because first of all, I don't need a job, and second of all, because I have like a diversity of experience that I never had before.
One of the, Broadway, because again, it sounds like you're working with a lot of actors then. Is that true, or are you just...
It's funny, I'm not really, but when I started writing, it was a lot about like my experience as an actor, but I've since transitioned into working more broadly with millennials and targeting young people, but I think like the actor story is kind of pretty indicative of that experience.
It's a nice common ground, everyone can understand even if they're not a performer, but so many times when I'm talking to actors, they're like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, I want to be on Broadway, that's their answer.
Yes.
And Broadway's a destination. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not a slam on Broadway.
No, I think it's fabulous.
You get there and you realize, oh, but I'm still not fulfilled.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is just a concept. And so what you did was you took two mediums, your performance, desire for performance, well, three mediums, your desire for performance, your desire to give, and your intrigue on sustainability and finance, being, financially sound. So congratulations on finding a thing. How many videos have you made now?
Well, just in the music videos, I've only made a couple, but just generally speaking in video in general, because that's kind of like where I'm trying to go in terms of, like you're talking about blending your passions. So I've made about like 10 or 15 videos, some for myself and then some for clients, which is great because then I really get paid.
Yeah, that's it. It is really fun. And one thing that I learned, actually on a panel that I saw you on, was there's two kinds of ways to create like that. You have mind share and market share. Mind share is, I just want to get stuff out. My blog is mind share, right? It doesn't make me a lick of money. But market share is, then you have to go, all right, well, I still need to do the same thing for people who are willing to pay me. And that's an important thing that I find in wanting to create is, one of the things on the panel was there's a lot of experts who are broke, right? That's what someone said, and so you need to find how do you share your creativity, but then you need to go, how do I take this creativity and where's the area I can make money off of it too?
You need to do both of those things because one enables the other. If you don't have, the money to survive and pay your bills, then you don't have that freedom and flexibility to just do nothing else but be creative.
Right. And so you require both. And I imagine the further in someone's career you get, the more you still need to maintain the mind share and market share concept. So one more question for you. So you said you're just about to turn 30, which makes you Generation Y, which makes you a millennial, right?
Yes, it does.
And millennials are getting a bad rap nowadays, and I don't think they need to have a bad rap.
Not at all.
I just think it's a new mindset.
Yeah.
And I think fuddy-duddy older employers, don't understand how to embrace that mindset. So there's this new phrase out there called the quarter-life crisis. You're familiar with it?
Yeah, no, I have it.
So you had it too, right? I still have it. It won't stop. But that is something that we created in the arts, in a creative field, and from a financial mindset. What thoughts do you have about this quarter-life crisis? How do you survive it? How do you get through it? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, the struggle is real. Like, it is. Every piece I write, almost every one of them starts the same. Millennials have graduated with record levels of student loan debt in the midst of a recession and a poor job market and the rising costs of living and healthcare and rent. And it's like, that all is true. And you can't deny those circumstances. That said, we also have unprecedented opportunity. We have unprecedented access thanks to technology and internet. And so the barrier to entry to do something to change your life is very, very low, which means that if you can kind of take responsibility for your own destiny, I kind of spoke about this a little bit, in its entirety and stop giving up your power to the circumstances you're in or somebody else who's going to give you permission or opportunity, then you can really create something totally awesome for yourself. And that totally hasn't been done before. Like, I was talking about this before with Robin, and it was like this idea of like blended passion. Like, maybe what you want to do doesn't exist. And in order to figure out what that is, you got to think beyond the scope of whatever you think it is right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, you have so many options. There's so many options now, right?
There's so many. You can make it up. I did.
Yeah.
Did you see that video? It was ridiculous.
I would like to ask this. Do you ever, because it's so different,
It's so different.
do you ever get like weird comments about it?
There's a guy who commented on YouTube, he's like, I like your dress and your singing voice. But you know what, like, it makes people take notice.
Yeah, and that's what
and that's all that matters, because then you go on and you can see that I've done an interview on Fox News and like I'm not totally crazy. So like, it's balancing these two
and just so you know, if you are totally crazy, we still support you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I asked all presenters this. I should have warned you. Actually, no, it's better that I didn't warn you. If you had a microphone that reached everyone in the entire world and you had 15 seconds, what would you say?
Oh my gosh, my God.
Pressure,
So
Melanie,
many
pressure.
more. Bigger, go bigger, just go, like, knock out any walls you think are out there and make it happen, whether it's making more money or what you want to do or anything, just be bigger.
Stefanie O'Connell. Stephanie's leaving, but she has a big party at CNBC right now that she needs to attend to. All right, next speaker.